Yeah, yeah, aye. Lionel and Patrick, what a pair, thinking outside the box. They don't play fair, unconventional ways, breaking all the rules, making their own path, never following the fools. Unconventional playbook, rewriting the game. Lionel and Patrick, they'll never be the same, dancing to their own beat in a world so plain. Unconventional playbook, they're here to entertain. Lionel's a dreamer with stars in his eyes. Patrick's a schemer with tricks in disguise. Together they're unstoppable, a force to be reckoned with. Their unconventional playbook, they'll never be second. Unconventional playbook, rewriting the game. Lionel and Patrick, they'll never be the same, dancing to their own beat in a world so plain. Unconventional playbook, they're here to entertain.
Welcome to another edition, a winning Minnesota Vikings edition of Unconventional Playbook. This feels good. I got my boy Pat here with me. We're about to enjoy this one, man. We're about to enjoy it. All my guys from back home, they're already getting after me, telling me to pump the brakes, calm down. Man, I'm not pumping no brakes. Did you see Sam Darnold today, B-Flow defense today? Pat, how you feeling, brother?
It's one game, but we've been building up for it, right? So the game was here. We got to see some things live, and we got to see some good things out there. Man, anytime you get a W, it feels good.
Well, you know what feels good about it, Pat, is, man, listen, it's not just a W. This is why I am going to enjoy this one. I'm not going to let anybody rain on my parade. So all my fellas, you're wasting your time sending me texts talking about slow your roll, and all you Packer fans out there, you're wasting your time. You're not going to rain on my parade. We have had so many W's under KOC, but we haven't had games where we just dominated somebody. We are the kings of those one-score games, those single-digit games. That was not the case today. Everything seemed to come together. Yes, it's one game. Can we get better in some areas? Yes, of course we can. But the fact is, there were expectations. And my criticism of the Vikings was anytime there's expectations, they always seem to let you down. Not this time. We knew we needed to come in and win this game. We were on the road in a hostile environment, and the Minnesota Vikings got it done today, Pat. They got it done.
Oh yeah, they got it done today. They got it done the way, in a different way though, right? Than we're accustomed to doing it, right? We got it done with something like I said, right? With that defense, right?
Yeah.
That defense was dominant today, and yeah, whoo. Man, there's so many things just to talk about and touch on it, Coach. Right?
Well, let's get into it, Pat. Let's get into it.
It's so many things.
Yeah, the first thing there's so many things we can talk about, but the first thing I wanted to talk about is, again, you and I are fans, and we've harped on it in previous podcasts about that vaunted Brian Flores defense, and here's what I'm gonna tell you, man, about his D. When Ham fumbled that ball, it would have been really, really easy for the Vikings to give up a touchdown on that possession, and nobody would have blamed the Minnesota Vikings defense. They were stout, they held strong, and they held the Giants to a field goal. That was key, man, because it could have been 7-0 right away.
Definitely, you held the Giants to 0 within the red zone right away of them getting the ball, but also, as a quarterback, that becomes another threat in there, right? So you got your run game, you got your pass game, but now you got your quarterback with the legs. To even take all that away as well, that was marvelous. That was fantastic, right? It was, I mean, that right there, like the first stop, okay, let's go. Then they pin us back, right? We a little rusty. But then to get that second stop and to just hold them to 3 points, that's when I felt things were real good.
Yeah, the one thing about the Minnesota Vikings, that if you don't have the opportunity, like, I would suggest anybody that likes film and anybody that likes to watch exactly what the Vikings do, man, get your hands on the All 22 and watch the Vikings defense. I mean, for a quarterback, it has got to be mentally exhausting. The amount of times, Pat, that I've seen multiple guys on the defensive line. I mean, they are giving sometimes, you know, 7 to 8 person fronts on the defensive line. And then at the last second, they have an idea of what the snap count is going to be. You have Harrison Smith dropping all the way back to his safety position. I mean, the mental gymnastics that quarterbacks have to do when they prepare for the Minnesota Vikings defense, man, is just got to be exhausting. And Daniel Jones just had a hard time today.
Well, he did, and you know what I heard on a lot of different, whether it's radio stations and listen to pregame stuff, is like Brian Flores already knew what Daniel Jones' weakness, right? That's the job of defense coordinator, right? When he sees 7-8 fronts, 7-8 guys up in on the line of scrimmage like that, he struggles reading defenses coming out of that. So that was the game plan, obviously coming in, right? And he struggled off of that, and to be able to, you know, bring guys from, you know, different areas, different gaps, and dropping back, right? That left some struggles for him out there. You know, we put some man on, you know, put some zone in there, but you know, the fact that, you know, something that you just go back and look at game one last year versus game this year, right? And this is B-Flow having some of his guys. We didn't have to send 5 guys. Like, he did not blitz a lot today. That means what's on tape for the next game, which he might blitz the 49ers. He may not, right? But he did not show blitzes on tape today a lot.
No, not
right?
a lot of them at all. No.
No. So last year we were in the 50-some% of blitz, right? Percentage, right? I'm pretty dang sure that we probably blitzed maybe at the 15 in the teens, right? If you talk about number of snaps, percentage of blitz, it had to be in the teams because our guys up front, they were able to do their jobs, right? You know, Tilly, Phillips, right? Dallas Turner getting in there. Hey, look, hey, coach, Patrick Jones the second.
Yes, sir.
You know, so
Yep.
guys were getting in there. You know, JG Smart and Van Ginkel, right, doing what they do, but man, the backers and the D tackles, man, they were fantastic today. The outside backers and the D tackles, the inside backers as well. Cashman and Pace did a good job, but I thought those outside backers and those D tackles were fantastic. Like the way that, you know, he can sub. Like coach, I think he had 4 outside backers on there at one time and up on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Right. So they weren't all outside. When you think of outside backers, everybody think, oh, they coming from the outside edge rushers in the 3. Nah, they was coming from all over the places. Just putting on a four-man rush. So very versatile they were.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I was watching it during the game and I was like, you know, B-Flow's not blitzing as much as he did in previous years, but B-Flow has been stamped with this aggressive blitz. And I remember the one thing that he said last year, he says, I really don't want to blitz that much. You know, 53% is really high. I remember him saying this, but he had to get a little bit of turnover on that defense. He had to bring some guys in that fit his system a little bit better than the guys did last year. Last year, he was doing a lot of stuff with smoke and mirrors because he had to do it. Now he's got vets back there in the secondary that can handle their business. And he's got a versatile front seven, like you said, guys coming from everywhere. And in that scheme, barring injury, man, it's just going to be a tough. I'm not saying it's unbeatable. I'm not saying, you know, every quarterback we play are going to have a, you know, problem with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm just saying that you better come with it mentally if you want to have success, possession for possession with the Minnesota Vikings, because what B-Flow is throwing at guys, man, it is absolutely fantastic to watch. Absolutely fantastic to watch.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get guys flying around. He's gonna disguise things for you. They're going to be aggressive, right? They're going to hit. They're. I mean, you can't. It's not some simple base defense, right?
Right.
You know, is the even without his blitzes, the scheme on the back end is exotic, right? Because makes you feel like you might be in a zone when they're in man or man in a zone, but you got certain guys dropping and covering certain areas that you're not expecting them to cover. You think that's a hole, and those holes close up real small, or you don't see the people that's really covering those zones. So it's just, I mean, it was to watch, sit and watch that defense just had me hyped, right? As I talked about it on the previous podcast, right? When I talked about our records, right? What did I talk about? I said this is why I'm saying our record will be 10-7 of what I got predicted, right? Number one thing I said was the defense. That is the number one thing. The man has his players, but also within that, he's got players familiar with him. And let's talk about Van Ginkel, who was all over the place. He
Let's
did
talk about it, man.
everything. Van Ginkel was everywhere. Number one, that one might be one of the most special pick sixes I've seen. Just to be in that space, in that zone to do that.
Amazing.
Right? But Van Ginkel, right? The tackles, the sacks, the being able to take on two blocks to allow others to get free. Van Ginkel is all he's a bigger version. I'm gonna say this, more veteran, smarter, not smarter. I don't want to use smarter. He's another Martellus out there,
Yeah.
right? That is highly versatile, that you can throw in so many different places out there, and to help you, whatever it is that you're dialing up, to help you really dial up to get others guys going.
Yeah, I think the best thing about Van Ginkel is this, man. He's got a motor, and whether you're coaching basketball or football, soccer, rugby, or tiddlywinks, when you've got somebody that has a motor like Van Ginkel, he's going to be a problem. He's a Tasmanian devil. He never stops. I'm glad you mentioned it, because he was taking on two blockers. When you have someone that can win his one-on-one battles, where maybe they have to have a back in the backfield that chips him, or a guard that comes over and helps out when Van Ginkel, when he's rushing off that edge like that, it frees up other people on that defensive line. And you could just see the effects of Van Ginkel during the course of that game. Even if he wasn't getting to the ball or getting to the quarterback, the effect that he has on down the line of that defensive line was apparent. And then the interception that you just talked about was absolutely fantastic, a pick six. I mean, you couldn't have a better debut for a guy who had some injuries during camp, and people were speculating that he may not be ready for the first game, but just coming out and having a great game, Pat. His versatility is going to be huge going forward for our defense.
Oh yeah, coming out of the Cleveland joint practice, just listen to the people. They was like, this was the name they kept talking about in that defense. And they said, when you guys really gonna get to see this defense, you're gonna see Van Ginkel everywhere, right? And he's gonna have the pulse of what this defense really is.
Yeah.
When you look at it, I think we only got 4 or 5 starters from last year to bring in and flip that defense just like that, where the guys you got returning get it, the scheme, how they got so much better from the start of the season as the season progressed, right? And now you got his guys, right? You got, Kwesi spending money and him getting his guys, and man, they're just out there, they're flying around, they're doing things. I mentioned, something else that was fantastic is they took care of the edge. If
Yes.
you noticed in that game, they were trying to keep Daniel, which they did for the most of the game, kept him sitting in that pocket and not let him get out to the edges at all, right? So those defensive ends, outside backers, right, held ground, pushing him into each other. I thought they did a fantastic job. It wasn't necessary. At times we got to push up the middle like we needed, but they really was just holding space and letting the edgers, the edge rushers come and push him more into that pocket where he had no place to go and not a comfortable pocket for him to throw in. So I liked how they did it. A lot of the rushers was lining out super wide, right? Saying, I'm
Yeah.
taking this, right? Like Dallas Turner and Patrick Jones, right? That the rookie got his first sack. If I'm not mistaken, Coach, Um, I think we got 5 sacks, and I think we got by 4 different people,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And I remember it was a question a long time ago was, Daniil Hunter versus, Dallas Turner, who will have more. And
Yeah,
what I
I brought
said
that up.
is, right, and what I said is we're going to have him across the board so much that
Yeah.
he may not be able to surpass an individual, but the team wise is going to be fantastic what they do when it comes to sacks.
Yeah, and the Daniil Hunter thing, man, I think, you know, Hunter was a tremendous loss for us in terms of talent. But for the scheme of this defense, we are better for not having Daniil on this team, and it's a hot take to take after a first game. So I don't think I'm being overblown with it. But what I saw is, I just think the pieces that we got to replace Daniil are better coverage pieces. Like, these guys not only can rush the quarterback, but they are better coverage people when they drop out of some of those fronts that B flow shows those quarterbacks. And so they're a little bit quicker, they're a little bit agile when they have to cover in space. I saw that a lot during today's game where, once those guys, floated out of that front, Daniel Jones really was hesitant on where to go at the football, because you just got quicker people back there, guys that are used to being in coverage. What a lot of people don't understand is Daniil Hunter came from Zimmer's defense, which was basically a 4-3, and then they
Yeah.
made that transition to a 3-4, and now he had to drop out sometimes and be in coverage. And it's not that he did a terrible job. I just don't think it was his thing, and you could just see that today. The versatility of the defense was absolutely fantastic. But I want to get off the defense for a little bit, because I think we gave them their kudos. How good did it feel today, bruh, to just have a running back that can just move the chains, shorten up third down if you had to go to third down? Aaron Jones is a guy that can keep you on schedule in the backfield. And then they sprinkled in a little bit of Ty Chandler. He didn't do too bad as well. The running game, I'm not going to go as far as to say it's fixed, because I want to see it in multiple weeks. But this was a good audition, man. This was a good showcase for our running game today.
It definitely was part. So, and I'm gonna keep going back to it. Right, everybody got to see the last episode. Reason for my number 2 reason was the Aaron Jones factor.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Aaron Jones talked about it, about him feeling like he was the healthiest and his best. He looked explosive out there,
Yes, he
coach.
did.
I mean, he looked. There were times where he was running, and I know he's got the hair and whatever to know who he is, but there was times where I was like, "Man, is that young youth quickness? That Ty Chandler moving like that, right?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Man, the guy is just fantastic." But I mean, I go back to his touchdown run, right? It's an inside run, right? It's a dive play, right? But there's nothing there to. I listened to him talking about it all off season of his maturity about putting his foot in the dirt, right, and changing that direction and hitting that curve, right, and hitting the edge. Man, that was like that. What that was him. That was being creative. That was being reactive instincts, right?
Yep.
As a
He had
running
that
back.
little
And
bounce. He had that little
yeah.
bounce to the outside.
Hey, plus he's a big back too, man. The guy, I mean, he hits a holes, he makes the right cuts, picks up blocks well, catches the ball out the backfield. Man, he can do, like, as he kept going, I was like it was he was going starting off right, and I was like, okay, man, he done had a couple of really good runs, and Sam really ain't throw the ball yet, right? And I said, now watch what this defense does. Like, the defense, y'all gonna creep up, put a couple of more players in the box, right? And that's the Aaron Jones effect, right? Why the reason why I like, if you go back, coach, how many rushing attempts did we have?
Total rushing attempts for the Vikings, we had about 26.
26 rushing attempts. How many times did Sam Darnold throw the ball? 24 times.
24 times.
I let y'all do the math. I let
That's
you.
balance, man. That's balance.
It's what they want. Aaron Jones brings that, takes pressure off of Sam Darnold. But yeah, I thought the run game was fantastic. And I thought Aaron Jones' addition and just who he is, like, the dude is such a who he's a stud.
Yeah.
Like, he's a stud. We ain't seen nothing like that since. I mean, don't get me wrong, Dalvin Cook was really good, but it's two different type of runners, right? Two different type of runners. When you're talking about physical specimen of a runner, we haven't seen that since AP. So Aaron Jones is a more physical specimen of a runner, but it's great to have somebody in the backfield, man.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, I live in Wisconsin. I live right across the border in Wisconsin. And the first thing I did, because it's funny how these Wisconsin fans are, and hopefully I'm not offending anybody in the UP that's in Wisconsin, but I live here and I know how the Wisconsin fans are. When things aren't going well for Wisconsin fans, you hear a lot of crickets. And this has been a big weekend for football, and I haven't received a text message. I haven't received a phone call. I haven't heard nothing from the Wisconsin fans. So what I did was, when the game was over, I just put on there a nice post in my social media, and I just said, Packer fans and the Packer organization, thank you for Aaron Jones, because he has single-handedly enhanced our running game. And don't sleep on Ty Chandler, because what that does, man, did you see the play action passes from Sam Darnold today? Because they had to respect the run. This was not Madison back there, who as soon as he runs into the back of his offensive lineman, he goes down. Aaron Jones' feet never stops. He's constantly churning. That one play, I believe it was a 3rd and 1. I can't remember, but he got the handoff to Sam Darnold. He got
turned around, spent.
Yep. Feet kept going to get the first down. I mean, those are things that we haven't saw in a long time, at least a good year and a half from the Minnesota Vikings running game. And so Aaron Jones has really bolstered our running game. And Wisconsin fans, I know you're out there. Don't be afraid to come in and put some comments in the chat, because I know you're out there. You guys just had a bad weekend for football.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, listen, man, if Aaron Jones brings a different dimension, I ain't even going to talk about the people on the other side of the river. So there's no need to talk to them. Can't kick a horse when they down, right? So
I can
there's
kick
no
him,
reason.
Pat. I can kick him.
You go ahead and kick the horse when he's down, right? Y'all paid the man $55 million a year after one season. So, I'm not going to kick them when they down, but trust me, you're going to miss. Josh Jacobs was fine for them, but that running game, which led us to, right, the passing game, right?
Yep.
Talk about Sam Darnold, right?
Yep.
So here we go, Sam. Ah, man. 12 for 12 to start, and after 12 for 12 to start, we go 7 for 12.
Yep.
Like, that's pretty dang good. Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's best I can say it. That's pretty good. What he did was, escape some situations. He was accurate in it, but he wasn't forcing things. It wasn't like he wasn't making those throws that Kirk Cousins make. Like, Atlanta Falcon fans, stay with us with the UP, but what y'all got today is what we've been seeing. So
That's right.
What y'all got over there today is you can have them. You can have them. Sam looked very poised. Like, Sam, when you look at Sam in his press conferences, coach, right?
Yep.
He's just blah, like blah. But when he gets on the field, man, that man has a special arm out there.
Yeah, he
has
does.
a real special arm.
Yeah, Sam Darnold, I've said this a lot leading up to the season. Obviously, we're making the transition from Kirk Cousins to Sam Darnold, and I don't think anybody in their right mind can sit here and say that right now at this point that Sam Darnold is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. Like, nobody's saying that. But I think it's important to throw out there when you're evaluating quarterbacks, man, sometimes you don't need to have the best quarterback out there. You just need a different kind of brain. And again, I'm going to go back to, if you ever get your hands on the All-22 film, it shows you a lot, because when you look at Sam Darnold and some of the decisions he made, like when you think of the passing game in the NFL, you think of layers. You know, there's that check down layer, and then there's that intermediate route layer, and then there's that long distance layer. Sam Darnold today was passing up some check downs to go down a little bit further to complete passes, where I know in previous years, not to bring up Kirk Cousins, but I know that would have been a check down. There were a lot of passes where I'm like, okay, that's going to be a check down for Kirk Cousins. And so he's less adaptable to risk. Now you got a different brain back there, you know, albeit, you know, a little bit raw, but you got a guy with some arm talent in Sam Darnold. And some of the decisions he made to go downfield, rather than hit that check down, helped the Vikings extend that lead and continue some drives that were, you know, could have been dead. I mean, he drove the team down there 99 yards, Pat. When the last time you seen a 99-yard? Yeah, when the last time you seen a 99-yard drive from a quarterback on our team? I mean, he just did a tremendous job today.
Oh yeah, he did a fantastic job. And it was one throw that got me going. That gave me that boost of confidence. That seam route with Oliver. So when he hit Oliver on that seam, you know, coming down the field, like the ball that he threw to zip that, right? You know, Oliver's, you know, just coming up the hashes, right? And
Yep.
he hits that man, you know, over the middle, and you know, the catch there, that ball and that throw was my confidence booster and what led me to watching him just go off, right? And to make the outside throws, like you said, he went downfield. It wasn't the wasn't the check downs, you know, which I think some things are part of design by design, and some things not. The check downs will be there later because I think they'll help us because of what they're going to do in the back end, and because of him showing on film now, right? Of him being able to throw the ball down the field. So he threw the ball all over the places. Multiple receivers, you know, I think 59 yards or 58 yards, 59, 8 yards by Justin Jefferson may have been the highest yards, but he spread the ball around, right? So this was a game where he didn't need to feed Jets, you know, where he could spread that ball around, multiple different people catching the ball. We had some drops out there. We had some things that'll get better. But he just looked comfortable. He looked comfortable right back there. As the game progressed, he just looked comfortable, and that was good to see that he was comfortable back there.
Yeah, for sure. Sarah just entered the room. We blew out a team with Sam Darnold and Kurt lost. What a great Sunday. It was a great Sunday, Sarah, let me tell you. It was a great – I wasn't even going to bring up the Kirk Cousins thing, but I'm going to bring that up a little bit later because I just want to draw some comparisons. You know, with Sam Darnold, man, you know, I look for a couple of things. And, again, I'm not ready to anoint him the best quarterback in the world and sign him to a multi-year quarterback. Before first game, he did pretty well. I look at pressure situations. He came into this game with a lot of pressure. Yeah. I mean, he's taken over for Kirk Cousins, who had been here for 6 years. Everybody's been talking about how bad of a quarterback Sam Darnold is. So that's number one. Came in with a lot of pressure. I wanted to see him after he got hit a few times, you know, where he got the ball. He got hit, he came back. And then I wanted to see him, you know, could he read defenses? Would he be talking and communicating at the line? He was talking and communicating at the line, adjusting some things. And then I wanted to see, okay, when things don't go as planned and adversity hits, what type of quarterback you going to be? He lost Addison, which was one of his key weapons. And I wanted to see how he responded with that. Today, Sam Darnold, he passed every test that you can give a guy that really hasn't played football in a year and who hasn't in other stops been very good. It kind of shows you, number one, Pat, you always talk about the culture. You know, we've got the quarterback whisperer in KOC who gave him, I was listening to KOC's press conference, and he was like, the one thing I wanted to do was give him some easy yet explosive throws. And you could see some of the slants that he was getting. That 4th and 1 slant down there by the goal line where he hit Justin Jefferson for the touchdown, man, that was absolutely fantastic. He had to fit that ball in a tight window under pressure. Sam Darnold did a fantastic job today.
Oh yeah, he did a fantastic job. Sarah, I know coach is gonna wait, but yeah, there was so as you going through all these things as you were judging him, there was two times where he escaped the pocket, right? But those two times he escaped the pocket, he had bodies on him, touching him, right? That's when your boy Kurt was dropping and falling. He wasn't trying to, escape from that, right? And the to watch Sam escape from those, could have been negative plays, possible, 50-50 plays, right? Negative plays. His elusiveness to escape the pocket. They like he's got athleticism. He's got man. The band's got a really arm talent, but I just like he's an even kill cat that just goes out and do their thing. So I believe they played fantastic in all phases of the game, and the defense, the offense complemented what the defense was bringing, and they led that from the get go.
Yeah, I was really proud of it because I think the Giants really came in with the game plan, and I kind of saw early where they were like, okay, this is Sam Darnold on the offensive side of the ball. We're gonna put a little pressure on him. They were showing him various looks, trying to get after him, and then they hit him a lot when he released the ball, and he just came coming back for more. Hats off to Sam Darnold. Played a really, really good game today. Um, going back to the defensive side of the ball because I want to. There's so much to talk about. I want to talk
There
about
he is.
that.
I'm glad you're going back there.
Listen, man, Dallas Turner, they used him sparingly. Like he wasn't on the field for every defensive possession, but Dallas Turner, man, the if there was a stat for almost getting to the quarterback, I know it's called pressures, but that's not a sexy stat for an edge rusher. Like you want to get that sack. I mean, he had a lot of QB pressures today, and B-Flow was using him in a lot of different ways, coming off the edge, stunting inside. The one sack that he got came off a stunt inside where Daniel Jones ran right into him, and it was KD bar the door. I mean, this kid's versatility is absolutely fantastic as well.
It very much so is, and you're right, Sarah. Our defense is badass.
They're badass, man.
It is, but you know what? Here I talk about culture, and it was something that I didn't see that much of last year, and it's like B-Flow has his people. I ain't never seen B-Flow with that much energy on the sidelines ever.
Oh,
Like,
he was ready to go.
I mean, he was ready to go. When they made big plays, he was the first one. You would have thought he was a player out there, how much energy he had on those sidelines when the defense was executing the game plan, right?
Yeah.
They were executing, and this man was hype, showing the men love and everything. I just like his enthusiasm that he had. Dallas Turner, he's just scratching surface, right? He's scratching the surface of what he can do with them, right? And those quarterback pressures are going to turn into sacks. But I will give you a stat line. Dallas Turner, 1 sack. Danielle Hunter, 0.
Yeah.
Okay? Right? Now, if you want to look at it, Minnesota Vikings had 5 sacks. Texans only had 2.
Yep.
We'll see them in 2 weeks. Okay, that's when that'll be fun. So yeah, the young fella. Oh my goodness, the young fella. But the old man out there, right? Both of the old men's like Gilmore, like Gilmore can cover his. Like I'm out there like damn, my man can cover, right? He can really like I know what Gilmore's like. It's different because you're paying attention to the game from a different light when
Yeah.
you're over here when it's your team, right?
Yep.
Him and Brian Murphy can really, really cover, but Harrison Smith is I mean, there's a reason why that man's a captain. There's a reason why he's, 35 picks in his career, right? That pick, I was like, damn, man, we don't let this man get in the end zone, and he breaks off, from out of his coverage zone and jumps that pass. Fantastic job by him out there as well, right? Everybody was flying. We can keep going on and on and on about everybody out there. I think Ivan Pace calmed down sometimes, right? He was a little overhyped. He was ready to go, right? Pace was ready to go, but yeah, Harrison. I mean, I was happy for. I honestly was happy that Patrick Jones actually was able to come. I don't know if he's ever had double sack games, right? To have 2 sacks in a game. Uh, but looking at Big 91 out there, like every time he get it, I was like, damn, he looked like somebody else that we done had before on the defensive end.
Yeah.
Now, did he or did he not?
Oh, he looked fantastic today, man.
He was looking fantastic. So tip off, hats off to you, B Flow. San Francisco, hopefully they didn't watch the game because they got to focus on the Jets, and they're gonna have some stuff to think about from last year and this year's game.
Yeah. Well, B Flow will never talk about this, but I know I have these moments as a coach. You find a way to challenge yourself, or sometimes life finds a way to challenge you. And this probably hasn't been the best off season for B Flow, just for his mental escape. He's had, he expected to maybe be a candidate for some head coaching jobs. He really didn't have an opportunity to do that. And then you had the Tua Tagovailoa comments about B Flow. So all these little things, and to put all this work into this defense and see it come to fruition.
Yeah.
Today, that's that energy that you saw. Pat, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the Notre Dame Northern Illinois game.
Man, I watched that game. I for Northern Illinois, man, they was flying all over the place defensively, and it came with energy.
Yeah. The reason why I bring that up is I don't know if you stuck around for the end of the game and watched the emotion of the head coach. I mean, he was blubbering on the during the interview, and it just tells you the amount of work that goes into that. I mean, he just came in, beat the 5th ranked team in the country at South Bend, one of the most storied football programs there is. And I'm sure, I don't know much about the Northern Illinois coach, but I'm sure that gentleman had to scratch and claw to get that job. And because those jobs are not easy to get, and he's probably had a lot of obstacles, and he's probably had a lot of hard work to be able to get that job. And to pull that game off against Notre Dame, and you're at Northern Illinois, not to turn this into a college podcast, but I think there is some comparison. Man, all of those emotions tend to come out. And when you look at B Flow and the energy that he had on the sideline, that energy came from a certain place because, he has been attacked here and there in the media about his time with the Miami Dolphins, and then the Tua Tagovailoa thing came out, like I said. And to see all of that, all of his hard work come to fruition today, I was just really happy for the guy because I think he deserves it.
Yeah, definitely. And the coach there was a linebackers coach, I believe, for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that was the only time he was going to lead the NFL for Northern Illinois. Yeah, those emotions, like when things aren't going well, and especially going into you went into New York, right? You went on the road, game 1. For me, I was talking to somebody, I was texting with somebody over there at the Vikings. I was like, this is a get back game. And the only thing I could think about, number one, is that person who's over in Atlanta throwing
You can say his name, Pat. It's Kirk Cousins. You can say his name.
All right. Kirk Cousins threw the ball 3 yards out, right, when, we needed, So losing that playoff game, right, to them, that's all that was in the stomach of me. But they got different people over there, right? We didn't Singletary doesn't scare me, right? So I believe that they respect him, but he wasn't. That's not Saquon Barkley back there, right? Daniel Jones is not Jalen Hurts with his legs or nothing like that.
Right.
Those things weren't. And you got a rookie in Malik Neighbors, right? So those things weren't scary. I think it was just a fantastic. Let's not go overboard, but let's enjoy the moment type of get off games. And that's what they did. And the emotions that should be there are there for a reason. I'm glad they're there.
Oh yes, Sarah brought up Ed Donashell. And no, this this was not Ed Donashell's defense today.
Nah.
This was all B flow. So I guess the next question is, what's next? Next week is a different animal. It's someone that knows Sam Darnold really well, and they're a well coached defense on that side of the ball. So I would think they're going to pose some problems for Sam Darnold. This is another one of those tests, another one of those adversity tests, because they know him really well over there. How do the Vikings build on this for next week? What should be the game plan? If you were the coach of the Vikings going into this week, what are some of the things you're saying to your team? What's the theme of the week? What are you looking for next weekend?
Well, I'm gonna try to do some things because I know it was frustrating for them, the 49ers. I know they had frustrating offseason. Ours wasn't frustrating for player purposes. Ours was
Right.
more tragedy, right? So our adversity is different than theirs, and that's what I would try to take advantage of with that team over there, right? Number one, I'm play off of those emotions of theirs, just with holdouts, players want to be there or not, just stuff like that going on with them. And I know they got players signed and whatever. Take the ball, like I want to see Brock Purdy really beat us. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I'm taking Christian McCaffrey out the game, and I'm gonna take Debo out. Like those two people, like if Kittle and Ayuk can beat us, then Kittle and Ayuk gonna beat us. But how do I take Debo and Christian McCaffrey out the game, and how can you beat us, Brock Purdy? Right? That is my game plan coming in it. Right? Also, I'm gonna keep them off the field. If this running game works well, then I'm grinding a lot of clock with them,
Yeah.
right? I'm grinding a lot of clock, and as soon as they bring 7, 8 guys up in that box, hey, make your checks up front and go hit them for the deep. Like that's how I'm gonna play them. I'm gonna shorten this game up, and I'm gonna shorten the game up much, and I hope we can do that consistently because this is something I want to look at and tell you though, Coach. The first and the fourth quarter, we did not score, if I'm not mistaken. Our points only came in the second and the third quarter. If I'm not mistaken, we did not score in the first or the
No,
fourth
we did
quarter.
not. Nope.
Okay. So not scoring in those two quarters right there, that's got to get fixed. We got to get field goal something, right? We didn't score in those two quarters. Don't get me in the guts of it, but always believe in like you get a good start and a good finish. Like when we coach and whatever, I always talk about first five, last five of each half.
Yep.
And I think we took care of the last five, right? When it comes to how you end the half and how you begin the half, right? So, yeah, I just think we got to grind it out with them. But meet the physicality, right? I think what's going to be shocking to them is that this isn't the same defense they saw. Like when they came and they played us and they lost to us last year, it wasn't the same defense from the beginning of the season, right? And so now they got to realize that, like when they come in and see us, this ain't the same defense that ended last year or played you last year or that even played last year. This is much better talent, and much more understanding of a system.
Yeah. The Vikings, I think you hit the nail dead on the head when you talked about, you hinted about time of possession. I think the Vikings this year are going to be a time of possession team. I don't think Sam Darnold is going to be this guy that's going to throw for 400 yards every week. I think Sam Darnold is going to be what he was today, very efficient, started the game off 12 for 12. Had a really, really good stat line, 19 for 24, efficient, 208 yards, 2 TDs and 1 interception. And the 1 interception, I don't know if you blame that on the quarterback, but his arm got hit.
He got hit like
it
this.
wasn't a bad ball. His arm
He got
got
hit.
hit. So he was very efficient today. And I think that's going to be the formula for the Minnesota Vikings. Like, you have to keep good offenses off the field. And the reason why I say that is because you're going to get limited opportunities to score against one of the best defensive minds in the game in B-Flow. So if you can keep the ball longer and control that time of possession clock with your running game, and if the Vikings can replicate what they did with the running game today, maybe even have it a little bit better, man, the Minnesota Vikings are going to be tough to beat because they have that defense. And it looks like even though Ham fumbled the ball, they've kind of fixed their turnover problem where they just had these turnovers that came in the wrong time. So the time of possession thing is going to be really, really huge for the Minnesota Vikings going forward.
Yeah, definitely. It will be in takeaways, right? Winning the takeaway, the battle with the turnovers. 2 turnovers today. Like Coach said, like one of the most trusted people is CJ Ham, you know, and then quarterback getting hit on the arm right now. I do say, you know, we got to fix some things up in, you know, the guards and the tackles. You got to do a better job of blocking. But that was a fantastic front four we went against today, right? Those are some Pro Bowlers up there. And yeah, just taking care of the ball, utilize the run game. We ran the ball more than we passed today, and I expect us to continuously do that, right? I expect, though, next week for them to put a little bit more in the box, to not necessarily let Aaron Jones do that. We'll have, you know, they think they ain't gonna let Aaron Jones do it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, Ed Ingram's got to play a little better on the offensive line. I thought he started off real shaky, gave up a sack, but I thought he settled in pretty nicely for the rest of the game. Didn't necessarily do a bad job, but he himself has come out and said, you know what, I just got to play better. You know, I got to be a better pass protector. I got to be a better run blocker. So he's on his horse and doing his thing, man. I'm not really concerned about it. I was just, you know, for the most part, really happy with what I saw. KOC mentioned it in his post-game press conference, how tough of a schedule they have the rest of the way, which they do. This is why I'm going to enjoy this one. You know, we got a glimpse into what this team is going to be, but obviously it's the first game of the season. We don't have that consistency yet. So we've got to wait, you know, about another 3 weeks before we really get an identity of what this team is going to be, how they're going to look for week to week. I just thought for the first time having a year of just really frustrating games last year where we squeaked some games out and then we probably lost some games we should have won, man, these one-score games. It was good. It felt good to watch the Vikings just beat somebody into the ground 28-6. So before we move on to the San Francisco 49ers, I am definitely going to enjoy this as a fan, just watching the Minnesota Vikings just kill somebody.
Yep, I'm with you. So on to the next one, but UP Nation, Vikings fans, Skull Nation, right? Hopefully y'all enjoyed that. We did.
Hey, Pat, I got one question that I pulled out of UP. Someone sent me an email, so I wanted to mention it on the air just to see what you would say. I had a hard time thinking about it. You look in over at the Packers. All right, the Packers lost Jordan Love for 3 to 6 weeks. He may not play against us, and they have to play, some games without him. Does that impact where you think the Green Bay Packers are going to fall within the conference and the division? Because internally, the reason why I bring this up, the person that sent me the email, I think his name was Craig, he said, does that change the number of games you think the Vikings are going to win? Because we did the whole pick the schedule type deal. Does that change your pick of where the Vikings may end up? Because again, the Packers got to play some games without him, and then he may miss the game against the Minnesota Vikings. So the question is, does that impact your pick at all?
Well, number one, we played them on the road right away.
Yep.
So, and I gave the Packers that win. What I do think this is going to do, because I don't think Malik Willis, like they about to be like we was last year going to search for a quarterback.
You
So,
might see the
uh,
astronaut get
like,
traded to the Packers.
so here's the things that I can change from my pick. I move us to 10 from 10 to 11 with getting that W against the Packers. Okay. So if 11-6, and I also said we would finish 3 in the division and make it to the wild card with 3 teams coming out of the division. I now, with that just happening, I now would move us to number 2 in the division.
Okay.
And I would drop the Packers are going to have an uphill battle if he's out the 6 weeks because they're already 0-1.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah, it wouldn't change my picks at all. I just think the opportunity for us to win with the Packers may flip and impact that. I picked the Packers to sweep the Vikings. I thought that game was a little bit much too early in Lambeau for Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold looked pretty good today. And then them not having possibly Jordan Love for that game, I would just have to see if he's available for that game or not. But it could impact, my pick with a
could impact the
win
game.
here or there.
yeah,
What's
could
that?
impact the game, right?
Yeah.
So I know we had UP out there look at that. A couple of people on UP. Patrick's picks will come next week. We will get better at the college. The NFL is doing good right now. If you take out that I said to take that New England game out, if you look in the comments, I said take the New England game out and take the Vikings. That was my change up.
Yeah. And then the Lionel's lock was right on point. I told you guys to take the Cowboys. The Browns were 2.5-point favorites against the Cowboys for their home opener. The Browns always find a way to let you down for the home opener. Plus, Deshaun Watson is not looking good, so I thought that was a no-brainer to try to make some money there. So Lionel's locks from 1-0 for that. I'll try to have a lock every week just to see what I can do with that. I'm pretty good at finding locks. I just can't pick over a long, extended pool of games. That's when I usually go bad, but I can get you one game. So, yeah, great job with the picks, Pat, last week. Great weekend, man. Great weekend. Minnesota Vikings win. Looking forward to next weekend. Anything you got for UP before we get out of here?
Nah, they had a good weekend. The Gophers won on Saturday. Good bounce back. Upset me right away with the Gophers, though. The funniest thing is I got a little upset right away, Coach. Because field goal kicker, I don't know what the field goal kicker name. When he kicked like a 54-yard field goal. He kicked a 54-yard field goal, Coach. I'm still thinking about the North Carolina game. We could be 2-0 right now.
Yes.
You can make a 54, but you can't make a 34. Come
Yeah.
on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that as well. Thought about the same thing you thought about. I was like, where was that last week? But oh well, you got to keep looking forward. Hopefully the young man, whatever hampered him that week against North Carolina, is out of his system now, and he'll be able to kick more consistently for the Gophers. A lot of good things coming up this week. We are going to have Latray is going to make an appearance next Sunday for the Vikings post game. Looking forward to having him on. We also want to look to have some fans on as well for the post game. You guys can come on, talk about the game. We'll have you on. So just continue to put things in the comments, keep emailing, keep challenging Patrick and I to put together a good show. For your host, Mr. Patrick Buchanan, the sports guru of Minnesota, and Lionel Jones, we would like to wish you guys a good Sunday. Thanks for supporting the UP. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you when we see you. Latray, take us home.
I don't know who I am. Can I say I'm the man? Am I losing my mind? Am I wasting my time? Do I know who I am? I don't know who I am.